Hello, together a new edition about engines. Today I want to feature the lovely Jena diesel engines and glow engines, of course. So I think it's enough to say about them. You see them a lot, but not really the background and everything. So I want to bring a little bit light into this. There is a lovely book from Mr. James E. Duncan about the 2.5 diesel of engine class, and all these variations, and there are a lot of variations on the diesel engines from Jena, but everywhere stands the designer is a question mark everywhere. So I want to bring a little bit light in this. As I was very lucky some time ago, I found on eBay a gentleman in Germany who sells engines, and also he provided me with some very useful and nice copies of manuals of the Pioneer and about the Jena engines, the Comet, all the East German engines. So this is very interesting stuff for me, of course. But he also provided me with this lovely little book, very thin, but it's very nice. And in this book, actually, I find the question of the questions: who made these lovely engines? And in this book, it says in 1951, some Mr. Walter Hercher and Karl Zacharias from the Jena factory designed these engines and started production of it. It was after the war, when they tried to interest young boys and young men for fine mechanics, for precision mechanics. So usually on these engines, like the Pioneer, you can find this one not, but usually it stands Lehrbetrieb, and this means education workshop. So they're trying to interest the young boys for precision mechanics, and of course, how do you want to interest the young boys with aeroplanes and engines? So in this factory they learn this, make this engine and work with precision engines and machines. So this was the first one of Karl Zeiss Jena's, the Pioneer, of course, very lovely made, rotary valve with intake on the underside. This is a stop valve, beautiful design, no needle valve, only control the amount of air. I'm very proud of this engine. And the second rarest engine of Jena is, of course, this one. This is the Aktivist, number 1. No ball bearings, plain bearing, very rare. It is damaged here, so I will try one day to fix this. Also need to make a new cylinder because the flange is broken. Need a piston also. So this was from 1954. No ball bearings yet, but it's a famous model with the 3 heads, screw heads, of course. Then came this model. This is from 1956. Ball bearings, still 3 heads. It was made with a membrane of rotary disc. But people start complaining about this very short shaft, because if you flick the engine you hit usually the cylinder. So what the Jena factory decided to make is longer crankshafts and a plastic distance piece, so you will have more space from the propeller disc to the cylinder head, and you can start them easily. Then a little bit later, but you see also they are not all the same. It's also different here, longer and shorter pieces made. And then around 1958-60 they changed the design again, because after many crashes this was really prone to breaking, these 3 points. So they changed the design. They still use the same mold, but you can see this still here. You see it? And they mill this just away. You can see that the run from the mill cut it out of away. But this is still the same action, the engine, and they change also the cylinder. This engine have internal 6 flutes. I have somewhere a cylinder here, I think, like the same like the Schlosser. Same cylinder like the Weber Mach 1. Internal 6 flutes. But this engine have under the exhaust port 3 slots for the transfer, like the Mercury, the MK16 engines. So this is really a complete different design. Even it looks the same, but it's different. So this is from 1951 to 60. And also again, that was made in membrane of a rotary disc. A little bit later on, 58, 60, 61, you get this screwed in cylinders, but also that looks almost the same. This is of course the blue head was 2cc and black heads was 2.5, but even if the rotary looks the same, it is a different design, because this is the membrane, you have no pin here, and the rotary disc have a pin, so you can push it and the engine will stop. It will push the disc away from the rear back plate. As you see, they are really very similar, but still different. You see? And here I have some original genuine parts. This is the membrane, steel membrane, and between the ball bearings they are used these special paper discs to seal the cutter very well. And they're actually pretty well made, these engines. What I found was really nice fits. Of course, Zeiss Jena is very famous for highly precision designing cameras, lenses, optical instruments. So they know very well how made engines and fits. And this is of course the early version with the central membrane, and later they changed this to the cover like this. But this will also fit in this engine because the screw alignment is the same. But they're actually very nicely made, good fits. And if you try to buy one and you find one on eBay, try to find an engine with a dural proper plate like this, and not a cast one, because this is the later engines. They are made about 1962, because they also moved the factory from Jena to Eisfeld, yeah, it's different engine. It's not the best quality. Sometimes they are a little bit less, still good, but the best are really the early ones. They are really great, in my opinion. They are really very nicely made. About 1960-61 was also the 1cc available. They have also two versions. You can count the amount of ribs. They are different. Also the spine here for the propeller driver is different, and also the setup in the cylinder, how the cylinder fits inside, is also different. So usually it's only one type. The early one is pretty rare to find. And as a very last one, it was 1965. You got the 2.5cc glow. Is this one? He misses the prop driver actually, but I will also rebuild this one. It's a Cox style, it's very much Cox style porting, also cross flow, as you see this. Maybe you cannot see this, but two exhaust slots, two transfer slots, and a Cox style carburetor. And you actually also see maybe this one, also diesel. But I speak to this gentleman who gave me these books and paper stuff, and he know personally somebody who works in a factory, and he told me this the diesel of the glow engine is never made actually as a diesel, because when I stopped working making engines, they have a lot of leftover parts. So they make this themselves, and make it adapt to this casting and to this cylinder, but they were never really sold as a 2.5 diesel in this latest version. So the only one, the really diesels are this one, and of course 2.5 black heads, 2cc blue head. And like I say, if you want to buy one, try to find one with the dural plate and not the cast plate, because this is later models and they are sometimes not the quality like it should be in the beginning. But I really admire this engine because they are really lovely, and they say in the manuals they really are pretty good performers. The best one was the membrane. The 2.5 with the membrane is 0.36 horsepower at 19,000 revs, so this is really amazing. And the rotary valve is 0.34. So still pretty much 12 to 17,000 RPM. Then there was also a small and a big head variation. They have some special names from it. The Deka, MN, MK. So M stands for membrane and K for kleiner Kopf, the small head, the normal head, like this one. This is the normal head of the klein Kopf, and this is actually the normal head, the big head. So this is the difference in these heads. But as you can see, they changed later the castings and remove this plastic washer and just make the shaft, make complete new mold and make this shaft housing longer. And this is the engines what you find mostly on eBay, like this 2cc and 2.5 with the long housing and or a membrane or a rotary disc. But this membrane 2.5, they really go like stinks, really fast. So I just finished one for my friend Jose in Madrid. It was not complete and misses a piston and everything, so I swapped the cylinder and grind a little bit, put another piston there, and let's go out for a run and see how it runs. It must still run in, so I will not push it. I will put a 10-inch prop on it, so just to see how it runs. See you outside. Okay, let's try. Lovely, but so loud.